You've probably heard that Megalodon was about the size of a school bus. That comparison has been repeated so many times, it's become scientific gospel. There's just one problem with it. It's completely wrong. Not wrong in the sense that it's inaccurate, but wrong in the sense that it doesn't even begin to capture the true scale of what we're dealing with. A school bus is roughly 35 feet or 10.7 meters long. Recent research suggests the largest megalodons reached lengths of 82 feet or 25 meters, more than twice the length of that bus. But length tells only part of the story. Picture this. If a school bus weighs about 24,000 pounds or 11 tons, a full-grown megalodon tipped the scales at an estimated 130,000 pounds or 59 tons. We're not talking about something twice as long as a bus. We're talking about something with the mass of 5 buses combined, all condensed into a perfectly engineered killing machine. The problem with our size estimates isn't just academic. It fundamentally changes how we understand these creatures. For decades, paleontologists worked with fossilized teeth and vertebrae, using great white sharks as templates for body proportion. Seemed logical enough. Great whites are Megalodon's closest living relative, after all. But here's where things get interesting. In 2022, a team of researchers used advanced 3D modeling to reconstruct Megalodon based on a more complete fossil record. What they found challenged every assumption we'd made about these predators. The head alone was 15.3 feet, or 4.65 meters long, longer than most cars. The dorsal fin stood 5.3 feet, or 1.62 meters tall, roughly the height of an average human. Those measurements come from scanning actual fossil remains, not extrapolating from modern sharks. And they reveal something unsettling. We've been dramatically underestimating these creatures for generations. Consider the jaw gape, the distance a megalodon could open its mouth. Recent models suggest it reached 9.2 feet, or 2.8 meters in height, and 8.9 feet, or 2.7 meters in width. You could drive a compact car through those jaws. Standing upright, you wouldn't even reach the roof of its mouth. The implications hit differently when you think about prey. Megalodons didn't just hunt large whales, they swallowed them in sections. A 30-foot baleen whale, impressive by today's standards, was essentially a snack that could be consumed in 2 or 3 bites. Modern great whites, impressive as they are at 20 feet maximum, suddenly seem almost quaint by comparison. A full-grown great white could fit entirely within a megalodon's stomach. In fact, stomach content analysis suggests that's exactly what happened. Megalodons regularly hunted and consumed other large sharks as casual meals. Yet even these staggering new measurements might be conservative. Fossil evidence remains incomplete, and the largest specimens we've discovered might not represent the true upper limits of the species. Some researchers suggest individual megalodons could have reached 100 feet or 30 meters or more, though this remains hotly debated. What isn't debated is this. Every time we think we understand Megalodon's true scale, new evidence emerges to suggest they were even larger than we imagined. Size alone doesn't make an apex predator. Plenty of large marine animals exist without terrorizing entire ecosystems. What separated Megalodon from every other creature in the ocean was the precision engineering packed into that massive frame. Start with the teeth, not just their size, but their design. While great white shark teeth are designed for cutting and tearing, Megalodon teeth were built like biological chisels. Each tooth measured up to 7.1 inches, or 18 centimeters from root to tip, with serrated edges that could slice through whalebone like a heated knife through butter. But here's what most people miss. Megalodons didn't just have bigger teeth than modern sharks. They had fundamentally different teeth. The shape, thickness, and cutting geometry were specifically designed for processing the largest marine mammals on Earth. These weren't scaled-up great white teeth. They were purpose-built tools for a completely different type of hunting. The bite force numbers are almost incomprehensible. conservative estimates place Megalodon's bite force at 40,000 pounds per square inch. For context, that's roughly 10 times stronger than a great white shark, 13 times stronger than a T-Rex, and about 16 times stronger than a modern saltwater crocodile. But recent biomechanical models suggest the true figure could exceed 60,000 psi. What does that kind of force actually accomplish? It means Megalodon could bite through a small whale's spine in a single snap. Ribs, vertebrae, skull bones, none of it mattered. The bite force was so extreme that prey animals likely died from hydraulic shock before they even registered the attack. The tooth replacement system operated like a biological conveyor belt. Modern sharks replace teeth throughout their lives, but Megalodon took this to an entirely different level. Each jaw contained roughly 300 active teeth at any given time, with backup rows containing thousands more. A single Megalodon could produce over 40,000 teeth during its lifetime, shedding and replacing them every few weeks. This constant tooth replacement served a crucial purpose. Hunting prey the size of whales means dealing with incredibly hard bone structures. Teeth would dull, chip, or break with nearly every major feeding event. The replacement system ensured that every attack was delivered with perfectly sharp, pristine cutting tools. The hunting strategy itself defied everything we know about modern shark behavior. Great whites rely on ambush tactics, surging up from below to deliver a single devastating bite, then waiting for blood loss to weaken their prey. Megalodon couldn't afford such patience. Recent analysis of bite marks on whale fossils reveals a different approach entirely. Megalodons engaged in what researchers call strategic dismemberment. Rather than relying on blood loss, they would systematically remove fins, flukes, and flippers to immobilize their prey, then move in for precision strikes to vital organs. The attack pattern was methodical, almost surgical. First, remove the whale's ability to escape by targeting propulsion systems, then eliminate defensive capabilities by crushing flippers that could be used to strike back. Finally, deliver killing blows to the head, heart, or major blood vessels. Fossil evidence suggests some attacks lasted for extended periods, possibly hours. Whale bones show multiple bite marks from different angles, indicating prolonged struggles where megalodons had complete control over the engagement. They could afford to take their time, systematically processing prey that would have required pack hunting behavior from any other predator. The efficiency was staggering. Computer models suggest a single adult megalodon could consume up to 2,500 pounds, or 1,130 kilograms of flesh per day when actively feeding. During whale migration seasons, they likely gorged themselves on thousands of pounds at once, then fasted for weeks between major kills. Perhaps most unsettling was their apparent intelligence in selecting prey. Bite mark analysis shows megalodons preferentially targeted juvenile whales, pregnant females, and older individuals. Exactly the hunting strategy that would maximize caloric gain while minimizing risk. They weren't mindless eating machines. They were calculating predators that understood energy economics better than most modern apex predators. For 20 million years, megalodons ruled the oceans with seemingly unstoppable dominance. They had perfected the art of whale hunting, survived multiple climate shifts, and spread across every major ocean basin on Earth. So, what could possibly bring down such a perfectly engineered predator? The answer lies in a biological quirk that initially made them successful, but ultimately sealed their fate. They were warm water specialists trapped in an increasingly cold world. Unlike modern great whites, which can regulate their body temperature and hunt in frigid waters, megalodons were mesothermic, partially warm-blooded, but still dependent on external water temperatures for optimal function. They thrived in tropical and subtropical waters where temperatures remained above 68 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 degrees Celsius. This wasn't just a preference, it was a biological necessity. Their massive size, while advantageous for hunting, created an enormous metabolic burden. A creature weighing 130,000 pounds requires an astronomical amount of energy just to maintain basic bodily functions. In warm waters, their enhanced metabolism could support the aggressive hunting necessary to fuel that enormous body. But as water temperatures dropped, their efficiency plummeted dramatically. The fossil record reveals a troubling pattern. As Earth entered a cooling phase around 5 million years ago, Megalodon populations began retreating toward the equator. What had once been a global species became increasingly confined to a shrinking band of suitable habitat. Here's where the story takes a darker turn. The same whales that megalodons had been hunting for millions of years were adapting to the cooling oceans in ways their predators couldn't match. Baleen whales, in particular, began exploiting the rich feeding grounds of polar waters, areas now forever off-limits to megalodons. The math was simple and brutal. Whale populations were shifting toward regions where megalodons couldn't follow, while the tropical zones that supported megalodons were becoming increasingly barren of the large prey species they required. It was like being an apex predator, trapped on a shrinking island, while your food source migrated to unreachable continents. Recent isotope analysis of megalodon teeth tells the story in stark chemical detail. Specimens from 5 million years ago show increasing signs of nutritional stress, evidence that these apex predators were struggling to find adequate prey in their increasingly limited habitat range. The final blow came during the Pliocene epoch. Roughly 3.6 million years ago, global cooling accelerated and sea levels dropped significantly. The warm, shallow coastal areas where megalodons nursed their young and hunted became drastically reduced. Meanwhile, the newly formed polar ice caps created nutrient-rich upwellings that attracted baleen whales to the very regions megalodons could no longer access. But perhaps the cruelest irony was this: their incredible hunting success had made them too specialized. While smaller, more adaptable sharks could survive on fish, seals, and smaller prey, megalodons required massive whales to sustain their enormous bodies. They had become so perfectly adapted to hunting large whales in warm waters that they couldn't downsize when circumstances demanded it. The extinction wasn't sudden. It was a gradual strangulation that lasted nearly 2 million years. As suitable habitat contracted, megalodon populations became increasingly isolated. Genetic diversity declined. Competition for remaining whale populations intensified. By 2.6 million years ago, the last megalodons were likely confined to small pockets of warm water around the equator, struggling to find enough large prey to sustain their populations. The fossil record simply stops. Climate change didn't just kill the megalodons, it outmaneuvered them with a strategy they couldn't counter, making their greatest strength into their most fatal weakness. Every few months, someone claims to have spotted a living megalodon. Grainy underwater footage surfaces on social media. Fishing boats report encounters with impossible sharks. Deep-sea cameras capture mysterious shadows that could be, well, anything really. Let's be absolutely clear. Megalodon is extinct. But before you roll your eyes at another scientific buzzkill, consider this. What's actually living in our oceans today might be even more remarkable than any surviving prehistoric predator. The megalodon still alive theory falls apart the moment you examine the logistics. A breeding population of creatures that size would require thousands of individuals spread across multiple ocean basins. Each adult would need to consume roughly 2,500 pounds of large marine mammals daily. The ecological footprint would be impossible to miss. Modern marine biology has surveyed, tagged, and tracked virtually every large marine predator on Earth. We know where great whites breed, where sperm whales feed, where giant squids hunt. The idea that a population of 80-foot sharks is somehow operating undetected beneath our noses defies everything we understand about marine ecosystems. Here's what really occupies the deep ocean spaces where people imagine megalodons might hide. creatures that make prehistoric predators seem almost mundane by comparison. Take the colossal squid, Mesonychoteuthis hamiltoni. Adult specimens can reach 46 feet or 14 meters in length, with tentacles equipped with rotating hooks that would make medieval torture devices seem gentle. Unlike the megalodons of popular imagination, we know these actually exist because we've caught them, though encounters remain rare enough to fuel genuine mystery. Then there's the goblin shark, a living fossil that survived virtually unchanged for 125 million years. Its extendable jaw mechanism is so alien that watching it feed resembles something from science fiction more than marine biology. These aren't extinct monsters living in hiding. They're active, breeding populations of creatures that time seems to have left behind. The real mystery isn't whether megalodons survived extinction. It's how much we still don't know about what definitely did survive. Less than 5% of the ocean has been explored. New species of large marine animals are discovered regularly. Not ancient holdovers, but entirely new branches of life that somehow escaped scientific notice until now. In 2020, researchers discovered a new species of whale, the Rice's whale, in the Gulf of Mexico. A whale in one of the most studied bodies of water on Earth. If we can miss a 42-foot whale population living relatively close to shore, what else are we missing in the deep ocean basins? But here's why megalodons specifically couldn't be among those missing species. Thermal barriers haven't disappeared. The deep ocean remains cold, typically around 36 to 39 degrees Fahrenheit, or 2 to 4 degrees Celsius. Any surviving megalodons would face the same temperature constraints that drove their ancestors extinct. The physics hasn't changed. More importantly, the prey base that supported megalodons doesn't exist in deep ocean environments. Large whales spend most of their time near surface waters, where their food sources, krill, small fish, squid, are abundant. The deep ocean is largely a nutritional desert by comparison. Recent advances in deep sea exploration have revealed ecosystems around hydrothermal vents that seem genuinely alien. Tube worms reaching 8 feet in length, bacterial mats that create their own light, spider crabs with leg spans exceeding 12 feet. These creatures have adapted to crushing pressure, total darkness, and chemical environments that would kill most surface life instantly. The deep ocean is full of monsters. They're just not the ones people expect. They're small, highly specialized creatures, perfectly adapted to extreme conditions. In the deep sea, survival favors efficiency and energy conservation over massive size and aggressive predation. Perhaps most telling is what we do know about large shark populations. Great whites, tiger sharks, bull sharks, every major predator species is monitored, tracked, and studied extensively. Their populations are declining, not stable or growing. The ocean ecosystems that once supported massive apex predators are under tremendous stress from overfishing, climate change, and habitat destruction. The harsh reality is that our modern oceans couldn't support a population of megalodons, even if they had somehow survived the climate changes that drove them extinct. The prey species they depended on exist in dramatically reduced numbers, and the warm, productive coastal areas they required for breeding have been fundamentally altered by human activity. Megalodons aren't hiding in the deep ocean. They're gone, and they're not coming back. But that doesn't mean the story ends there, because as we continue to probe the depths, we're uncovering ancient terrors that make even the megalodon look manageable. From armored leviathans to nightmare eels with triple-jawed skulls, prehistoric oceans were home to creatures so alien, so vicious, they'd make you wish for a quick death. This is Roaring Echo. Thank you for watching.